What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Gramercy Theater, and today we are here with Cody of Set It Off. Thank you for your time.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to
Yes,
meet you in person.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing the review of the
Of
record.
course, man. I really loved listening to it. It was very fair, honest, and I appreciated your insight on it.
Oh, thank you. Hearing my voice for like 7 minutes straight didn't give you a
man.
headache?
Music to my ears, man. I loved it.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
Thank you. Maybe that is how I'll start a band. I'll just have background music playing.
Yeah,
and
just like do some voiceover work. You got a nice speaking voice, man. You really do. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, man. But Midnight is absolutely awesome, in case you couldn't tell from my review of the record. Let's just give a rundown on how the making of the record's been and the record cycle thus far.
Absolutely. So as far as the making went, most of the process was we found out our producer was going to be Mike Green through first in the previous two records we worked with Brandon Paddock, and we were very comfortable with him. We still had him involved in a way, but we weren't sure if he was going to be the main guy again. We sat down and met with Mike Green, found out he was going to be our guy because his passion and energy and ideas aligned very much, actually exactly with what we wanted to do. So we're like, this is the move. So as soon as we started with him, he was basically like, free calendar, let's go. So we would write with him every single day, other than Sunday. So we'd be there writing. We already had like about 50 plus ideas as far as memos went, like just voice memo ideas and chorus of songs. Just fleshing out songs, trying to find the best ones. And then the more we wrote, the more we realized where the album was going. That's kind of how we like to figure it out. Like we'll have kind of like baseline goals, like, all right, we know we want it to be very organic. We want the instruments to be at the forefront, but we want to keep our pop mentality side as well. We want to keep our edge, our aggression. So as long as we keep that in the back of our mind, we don't feel like we can fail, but at the same time, we're not going to go in and write a song and be like, it has to be this, it has to be that, because then you're boxed in, and then it just ends up sucking. So we don't mind taking risks, rolling the dice, trying different sounds, like Happy All the Time is an example of that. I think there's a lot of songs that are an example of us trying something new. Like, for instance, I Want You Gone having a sax solo. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that was
But
pretty badass.
yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, actually, Dan and I were writing that one in a hotel room before we started working with Mike. When we got to the bridge, we're like, well, we don't think the bridge should be like a breakdown bridge. We don't think it should keep driving into like just another melody. And then we're like, oh my God, we can do it. Like this is the one. Like this is the one that needs the sax solo. And so we got excited about that. But a lot of it was just kind of like structural chaos. Like we know what we want, but we're gonna let it roll and just see what happens. But that process has been a great as far as bringing us back to our roots, and I think it was very conducive to creating a great Set It Off record as far as having the organization but having the free will. And I think the response has been as such. Like I think everyone has been connecting to this one because it reminds them of where we came from as well as where we are now. It's just been a really cool way to see everyone connect with it. And you never know when you release a new record how it's actually going to go. Like it can be the most amazing time of your life, and it can be a real kick in the balls. So we're really happy to say that this has been not the latter, but it's been amazing. It's been perfect.
I've noticed that not only was there many different sounds utilized in this record, but I noticed very different vibes of each song. There's songs that have many different emotions. Is it fair to say that the guys in Set It Off, they feel many different emotions when making new music, as well as liking to experiment with the sound?
I mean, definitely different emotions. Like I write the primary of the lyrics, and I go through really high highs, really low lows. But I think the most important thing is how we look at a record as a whole. Is we kind of treat it as like how you would want to feel in a movie. Like you want to have every sort of emotion experienced in one movie, or you want to have really chill moments. You want to have this, you want to have that. We want to have an energetic song. We want to have a low energy song. We want to have we try to make sure that we don't keep writing the same song on the same record. You know what I mean? Like every song should have its own purpose and its own slot on the record. We really feel that way as far as like the general feeling and vibe. As far as emotions go, I have this whole notepad in my phone of just different song topics. Like anytime I'm feeling a certain way, I will write it down, and I will keep it in there for later if I'm not writing at that moment, to be like, all right, we can talk about this then. So hopefully there's like this just huge diversity in feelings, but that's important to us because there's nothing that's been more dissatisfying to me than when I listen to a record. I'm like, everything's about the same thing and everything feels the same way.
Yeah, unless if it's a concept album.
Yeah, and if it's a concept, then yeah, that kind of backs that up. But even then, for me personally, I feel like if it feels like it's just painted with the same brush the whole way around, then I don't get into it as much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, you mentioned like your notepad full of different lyrics. Do you need to hear music to come up with lyrics, or has there ever been a time where maybe you gave the band this is a subject matter I came up with and they kind of wrote music according to that?
I feel like usually it's music first, and then so like I think of it as like a soundtrack. Like I'm very I guess cinematic with my thought process. Like if when we're in a writing session, and let's say Dan's writing a guitar line, and then we start getting music behind that, and we're producing the track itself. And when I'm doing melodies, I do dummy lyrics. That's the term I've always heard it being called, which is where you sing and just you sing nonsense words.
like you hum
Yeah, like, but like, I'll use actual words, and it won't rhyme. I'm not like Eminem. I can't freestyle for you or anything. But like, every now and then a word or a phrase will come out, and I'll be like, oh, like maybe it's like my gut speaking to my brain, and like, oh, that's what it's supposed to be about. Or maybe if I don't even have that, I'll just listen to what the music sounds like, and I'll be like, oh, this is what's playing in my head. What memory's playing in my head? I'm like, oh, this is the perfect one. If it matches that, then I'll write that topic to that energy, to that vibe. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, one thing I was really curious about is we talked about the different emotions and the lyrics and stuff like that, but I've noticed just waiting outside for you guys, you have very dedicated fans.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold right now, and there's hundreds of fans out there right
Yeah.
now. When a fan tells you, like in a meet and greet or something like that, this song helped me through this, or this is what I saw in this song, or even when or even when somebody, some moron like myself reviews it or something. Do you have a different perception on the music then than when you first wrote it?
I think it's always something that it's hard to get used to. Like just anyone's like strong connection to something that you created. Like I think one of the biggest wake up calls I ever had to that was a while ago. A song called "Missing You." I wrote a song. Basically, I wrote it about it's usually a selfish thing. I'm writing about something I'm going through. Like I'm writing about this girl that I'm in a relationship and how we're getting in fights while we're on the road. But you know what? We always figure it out in the end. And then someone told us at a show that song got her and her husband through deployment. And I was like, I never even thought about that scenario. Or like people will take something that I have like maybe in my mind directed at a specific person that maybe screwed me over, and theirs is about a completely different story. And I love that about that, how it can help people in different ways and connect to people in different ways in whatever way they want to interpret that. But I love hearing that. It's a really cool thing, and I think that's what makes our shows feel so special to me, is that you can tell everyone you can see it in their eyes. I know that sounds kind of corny, but like you can see the passion when they're singing the words at you, like just like staring you down, like they're getting through something right now, like they're venting right now, and that's a really amazing feeling, just to be like, because we're venting too on stage. Like we need to be playing shows just as badly as they need to be going to them. So it's an amazing experience to see how people cope through different things.
Yeah, it's like the crowd feeds off the band, or the band feeds off the crowd.
100%, 100%, yes.
Yeah. So when you're playing this material live versus like in a practice space or in a studio or something like that, it's a completely different experience playing the song altogether, right?
Oh God, yeah. I remember when we first started practicing as a band, it was like our goal was we have to be going 110%. Like we would be jumping around and like posse kicks and stuff like in the air, like in rehearsals. But now we don't do that anymore. We're just like, let's get the stuff down, and the energy level is not the same. You know what I mean? Like, but once we're on stage, you can't help that. There's a switch that turns on, man. It's an adrenaline rush. Like right now, I'm a little ill, but when I get on stage, I'm not gonna feel anything. Like that's a real thing. There's like show health. I think Patton Oswalt did a really good stand-up joke about it. It's like you could be just completely dead to the world, but the moment you get on stage, it's just you feel invincible. Yeah. But that's the energy that the crowd brings. However, flip it around, if like let's say you're opening and they're not with it, then you might not have that same feeling, and so then you have to go even harder to make them more into it. And then once they start feeling it, then it goes off even more. It's like this fun game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how can we both freak out the most?
Yeah. I've done an interview one time where I actually had walking pneumonia.
Really?
So I was coughing up all day, like I didn't even think I was gonna do it.
Yeah,
but as soon as like the band was ready and we sat down, like, I mean, as soon as it was over, I just started coughing up a lung. But like it's in that like 10, 15 minutes, it was just
you're just in the moment. You're doing what you love. Nothing else matters. Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Exactly. Now, one question I was really curious about is because your music has so many different sounds. You have a rock side to you, you have a pop side, you have some metal side. Have you noticed maybe a variety in the crowd, and because you have I feel like you have a sound that could appeal to multiple styles?
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. I think that one of our biggest things is everyone when you're starting out, any like suit wants to know like what's your demographic. I hate that word. Yeah. I don't want a demographic. I want everyone to like our stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that I'm really excited to see when we do get to meet in our VIP sessions, or just even look out from the crowd, is like It's like there's like parents full blown singing the lyrics and like being just as excited as the kids are. Like no matter what age range, no matter what gender, no matter anything, like it's very diverse. And I think that is what we've always wanted is just no lines, no lines in the sand, just be able to to just connect to the song. And I think that does stem from a little bit from how many different genres have influenced us. Excuse me, and set it off. And 'cause, like I grew up with everything. Like I started with like whatever my sister would listen to, which was like Destiny's Child and Usher, and then I found like boy bands like NSYNC and stuff. But then I went through like a huge new metal phase, like Disturbed, Korn, Limp Bizkit, and then I went
Talking to the guy with the Disturbed
yes,
and
man.
Linkin Park tattoo.
Oh, that's what's up. And Linkin Park was massive for me. I remember there used to be a game at arcades that was like a drum thing. It was like an electric drum set, and you could choose your song, and I always did One Step Closer, just so I could do that triplet. Bloop, 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 shut up. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, it was the best thing ever.
That was breakdowns before breakdowns.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, dude, like, so I've always been like super involved in like the metal scene as well. And like, I know like Dan and I, so when we were in high school, we were in like an emo metal band we called ourselves Broken Authority. But we were like, it started because we would cover a bunch of like metal songs. I was like a terrible excuse for a metal drummer. But I really appreciate it. Like Atreyu was a big inspiration for us. I know we really love Trivium. When Roadrunner United came out, when they did that supergroup thing, nerded out hard over that. But then also, like now totally opposite spectrum, like my dad raised me on like Earth, Wind, and Fire and like Tower of Power. So getting to listen to all these really different groups and try to find ways to add our favorite parts of each of those genres into one, I think is what helps it be more diverse and people more like, all right, I like this because this reminds me of this, or I like it because I can move to it, or I get aggressive to it, or I feel a different way when I listen to it. It just opens it up, I feel.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this on the record review, having many different sounds, because sometimes it's great to make a diverse record, but sometimes it could be like a little, like you don't want to have like a song that sounds like Nickelback and then a song that sounds like Nile, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, is there like a specific strategy you guys have to make a record? I could still tell that it's you guys, regardless of what type it is. So is there a way that you could still, is there like a methodology to make it still sound like Set It Off, despite how much you experiment?
I'm trying to think, and I think the only answer I can give you is just trusting our gut. I know that's not a really broad answer, but like to give you a specific example, going into when we were writing Duality, there was a song, or was it for Upside Down? Can't remember right now, but there was a song called Invasion that didn't make the cut, and we really liked the song. We think it's a really sick song, but it was just like too outside the ballpark. Hello, too outside the ballpark for what the album was, and so we just had to trust ourselves. We're like, yes, we like the song, but it makes no sense on the record. So just, you kind of have to have internal discussions, like discuss it as a band, discuss it with your team, discuss it with your label. And it always comes down to us at the end of the day. Like, we'll pick our own track list. We pick the songs that we think should be on it. But if there's one we're really passionate about, like, no, this is the one, we're keeping it, we'll dig our heels in. And we never had anyone be like, no, screw you, we're the label, you can't do it. Like, that's why I love working with Fearless.
Oh my God, they're awesome.
They're amazing, man. Like, you get creative freedom, and they are creative, and they work really well with all their bands. But like it's just about internal discussions, just like anything. Like, if you can communicate well, you'll figure out the right answers, because you're not gonna know everything on your own. You're not gonna be like, oh, I know this is perfect. No, you don't. Like, you can hope, and you can trust your gut individually, but everyone's instincts come together. You kind of find out a unanimous decision, or at least a compromise.
You ever worried that song you're gonna crop out is gonna be on like a B-side record, or just be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
Yeah, dude, it's obviously back there in the head. Yeah, like there's 3 songs we didn't put on this record that we think we're still gonna release. We don't know yet, but we're super into it. And you never know, man. Like, what if they are the one? But you just gotta. You can't kick yourself at the end of the day. You know you're doing what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there just, you're obviously doing this kick-ass headlining tour right now for Midnight. It's a brand new record cycle. Is there anything else with Set It Off you would like to promote?
Absolutely. If you happen to be listening to this in the UK or Europe, we're coming over there soon. Really excited for that. And we will be coming back to the US before 2019 is over. We are really pumped to be touring as much as possible. Check us out on our socials, on our website. Most of our socials are at Set It Off. But thank you for listening. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Cody, great to see you. Looking forward to the show tonight.
Great to meet you, man.
Yep.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, Cody of Set It Off. Pick up Midnight out on Fearless if you haven't already. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York, everybody.